And this is Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Slick.
And Slick is with us via remote from his home in the other side of the mountain from me. Hopefully have a little better reception you did on Steve's show on was that Thursday?
Oh, thank you, Quest.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
What was going on there?
Oh, it was a Quest nightmare. And, oh, look, it's dipping down already. Oh. Great.
Yeah.
No, I think what it was is it's just because, to be blunt, I'm on a 1.5 DSL, which means my upload speed ain't all that hot, ain't all that smoking.
Yeah.
As well as the download. So, you know, and plus the lines out here, way out in the middle of the nowhere, the desert across the mountain, they're not going to replace the landlines, which is what the DSL runs on. So it's just not going to get any better than it is.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can find a way to get you on something a little faster. That would be kind of the nice thing to do. All right. Somehow.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you what, we were going to have Daniel Segas, who is the CEO of Anybody Out There, but it looks like we're going to have him on next week during the show, and he's going to talk about a new startup called Anybody Out There, which is kind of set to help people easily find other like-minded people without having to search through numerous forums and endless chat waste rooms. So, if you want to find somebody and talk to them about GE stoves, or talk to them about building a better solar system for your home, or maybe even using reclaimed wastewater, you can do that by going to the site, and that's all you're going to do. You're going to be chatting with people that are like-minded. And it's kind of being touted as the opposite of chat roulette, more of a PG version where you can get into the conversations without webcams, without some of the other issues that come up with webcams, and a more concentric to chatting with those who are similar interests. So we will definitely talk with him next week on the show. So that'll be a good thing. But we did also, and Slick, you told me about this story in the Arizona Daily Star that David Wickner wrote about Moisés Paiewonsky, who has really wanted to be the first on his block to have a Chevrolet Volt. And he's actually with us on the line. Moisés, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tell us, I mean, this was a pretty cool thing for you to really be one of the first here in Tucson to get a Chevrolet Volt electric car. What made you so interested in this?
Well, I actually became interested in fuel-efficient cars several years ago when I saw a documentary called Who Killed the Electric Car?
Oh, God. Great documentary.
Yeah, and I really got turned on to this whole thing and was really upset by the fact that we had this technology and we weren't utilizing it to its full capacity. And so immediately started following sort of all the buzz about all the different kind of hybrid vehicles and plug-in hybrid vehicles that were in concept phase and on their way out. And it looked like the Volt was going to be the first one that was going to be out for mass consumption that was reasonably affordable.
Yeah.
And I just kept tracking it, and then the timing was right for a new automobile purchase, and I said, what the heck, let's go, let's get it. And so I did.
And what a trek you had to make. Now, apparently we're not getting it in Arizona till what, is it the end of this year?
That's what I believe so, yeah. So the 2012s at the end of this year, yeah.
Wow. Now, in doing this, I mean, you were thinking, well, I want to really be one of the first. I want to, you also care about the environment. I mean, you wouldn't if you didn't have, a solar home as well.
Yeah, that's right. I built a house in Savano a few years back, and equipped it with a solar hot water heater as well as a photovoltaic system. And so I thought, if you remember one of the last scenes of that documentary, the gentleman is standing there with a Toyota Prius and by a power grid and saying, someday these two things will have something to do with each other. And I thought, what a great opportunity for me to be powering my car through the sun. And not using gas and not burning anything, and made it happen, and it's working great.
Well, one of the things that I thought was pretty impressive is, you had to go 2,000 miles to buy the car. I mean, you had to go all the way to the Bronx?
Yes. Yeah. In the middle of a snowstorm, no less.
How did you find the car in the Bronx?
Well, what happened was that GM announced, late in the summer of 2010 that the way they were going to deal with the demand of the car and its sort of staggered release throughout the country was by individual dealership demand. and they were going to leave it up to the dealerships to make their own list of who wanted a car. You know, there was a GM Volt, Chevy Volt want list, but it wasn't going to become the official wait list for the vehicle. So as soon as they announced that, I created sort of a Excel, document on my computer of all the dealerships, as I could see from GM Volt website, that were going to carry the vehicle. And I just started making phone calls. And pretty soon in the summer, I found out that, in Austin, Texas, they were only going to sell them to Texas residents, go figure. And then in Los Angeles, they were going to mark up the price about $20,000 from the ticket price, go figure. And it looked, after I did all the research and started making phone calls and ruled out Texas and California, it looked like New York was going to be the best bet. And I found a dealership where there was no one on the list yet, and I got first on that list, and that was it. So it was really just process of elimination.
Wow. So it's quite a chore, but not only that, the pricing of this vehicle is almost double what it costs these days to buy a vehicle, but your savings overall are going to be a little more dramatic, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and they're not going to. There's no. It's pretty obvious here that they're not going to offset the cost of the vehicle without a doubt. But the idea being that this first wave of vehicles is going to be pretty pricey. They're not making that many of them. The idea is if it picks up, if it does well, which so far it's doing, obviously it won Motor Trend Car of the Year, that the price will go down, they'll mass produce them, and then it'll become more affordable, more like some of the other fuel-efficient vehicles that are out there right now. So, but somebody had to take the plunge and be, the first people to kind of commit to the technology and pay maybe the higher price for it, so that this vehicle could take off as I think it should.
Well, it was kind of the things, when you talk about the movie, What Killed the Electric Car, celebrities were behind it. They were getting this vehicle. We have seen celebrities now, getting the Priuses and getting the other vehicles that get better mileage now. Do you think we're going to start seeing celebrities also getting into a vehicle like this?
Maybe. I think certainly there will be some. I think the difference in this vehicle is that with some of the other initial vehicles that are fuel efficient, vehicles like the Tesla that are very pricey, it seems like only celebrity could afford them. With this car, there are a lot of people in America that can afford this car right now, and it's going to be less about the price and more about, are you gung-ho enough about it to get on a waiting list and be one of the first people to get it? It's really what it's more about. So I'm sure there will be some, especially in Los Angeles, but I think there's going to be a lot of just regular Americans who have already purchased and will purchase, this car in the next few months.
Now, what made you go with the Volt rather than the Leaf? Because I think we heard a little more about the Leaf beforehand, and then you hear the Volt. What made you make that decision?
Yeah, well, when I started doing all my research and reading up, I just was really intrigued by the whole gas component, extended range, if you will, component of the Volt that the Leaf doesn't have. The Leaf has a longer pure electric range, but once that range is out, unless you have somewhere to charge it up and you have the time to wait for it to charge, you're pretty much dead in the water. So it really is just a commuter vehicle, perhaps with some long-distance range if you're trying to, get to Casa Grande maybe or something like that, or Green Valley. But you're not going to be able to drive, say, to Texas with it, to El Paso or something like that, unless you make an overnight stop, and have the time to do that. With the Volt, it has the long range of a normal car. It's an 8-gallon gas tank that powers a generator that just keeps your battery charge up. You can go almost 400 miles on that, about 50 miles to the gallon.
Wow.
Once you get past your initial electric charge, and my initial electric charge is all I'm using on most days to get to work and back and around town every day. So most days I use no gas, but if I decide I want to go to the Grand Canyon, I can go, and I don't have to worry about anything. I can just use gas like a normal hybrid vehicle would.
Well, let's take a look at, now you actually drove this vehicle back from New York, which gives you really firsthand how this vehicle is going to perform in situations. What kind of mileage would you say you got? I mean, how much did you spend to get back from New York all the way back to Arizona?
I probably spent in the neighborhood of maybe $100, $150, something like that.
That's what it cost me just to go to Vegas, just to get there.
Right. Yeah, I think the thing is, actually, the interesting thing that I learned as I was driving back is that the car actually gets better mileage when you're doing city driving than when you're doing interstate driving, which I think is the case for most hybrid vehicles, where because you don't have the regenerative power of stopping and sort of idling and that kind of thing, and you're just going 70, 75, 80 miles an hour the whole time, you're actually getting the lowest amount of fuel consumption that you could get when you're on the interstate. I was getting around 40, 42 miles to the gallon on the interstate with the car, whereas in the city, I get more like 50 when I'm just going 30 miles an hour and sort of strolling to a stop at lights and things like that. So, yeah, I was getting about 40, 42 miles to the gallon, and every fill-up was costing me around $20. But I only had to fill up about 7 or 8 times to get here.
How about comfort? So. That's obviously we've been so used to as consumers to these big vehicles. We started going small; they're starting to get big again. I mean, how is it as far as the ride?
I like it. I mean, Chevy cars in general, American cars, from my experiences, I've driven a Pontiac Firebird, a PT Cruiser, a Chevy SSR, and now this Chevy Volt. And they always seem to be a little bit stiffer rides than most cars. It doesn't bother me at all, but everything I think is a little tighter. And so it's you can feel things on the road, but not any more or less than any normal American car. And the interior, I find it to be very comfortable. It's very smooth. The handling is very smooth. The power steering is great. It goes when you want it to. It stops when you want it to. So it's great.
Is it a little different driving an electric car like this? And then you don't have the engine sounds. I mean, that's got to be something you had to get used to.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, funny story. When I was getting off the interstate to get gas around El Paso, I got off the interstate, and on the off ramp there was a cat, it's scavenging on the remains of some dead animal, and I actually got all the way up to the cat before it turned and realized I was there and ran off. So it really is very quiet. It didn't take much getting used to for me. It's a little eerie when you're inside and the radio's off, and you hear nothing.
Yeah.
But actually, the most difficult part about getting used to it was that when you don't realize how fast you're going. What you get used to in a car, I think we don't even realize it subconsciously. By the sounds you're hearing, you know how fast you're going,
right.
And you can't tell that in this car by sound. You can only tell it by what your speedometer says and what you see outside. So sometimes my brake time was a little. I had to start braking sooner than I thought I needed to based on my speed. That was actually the biggest adjustment.
Now, I've got to ask this, when it comes to insuring the vehicle, did you run into any problems with the insurance companies? Because they always base it on, well, what size engine, that type of thing. Do you seem to get a better rate?
I got it. I think a typical rate. I got a typical rate for a car a new car that size.
Yeah.
I used Allstate Insurance Company, and they already had the car listed as an option, so they already had it spec'd out and knew everything about the components. It didn't take me very long to get it on my insurance. No time at all, actually. So they were already ready for it.
That is phenomenal. All right, so now I understand there are some dealers here in Arizona that already have the vehicles if people want to see it. Now, you bought this sight unseen. You've never driven one before you actually said, I'm buying it?
That's right. I took the plunge, and obviously I drove it there before I signed and left. I did put my money down and did commit to buying the plane ticket and going over there. But I knew what I was getting into. I had followed it very closely, like I said, for over a year now. The development, the test drives, all the news reports on it. So I knew what was in stock.
Excellent. Well, if they're in Tucson, I know they go to O'Reilly Chevrolet, which is over on East Broadway, and they can check it out there. And I guess there's going to be some others here that in town they're going to have it. Watson has said that they'll have it, and they'll have it at Cropper Nogales as well, down in Nogales. Do you believe that this will work? I mean, unlike what we saw with Saturn and the electric vehicles, will this go?
I sure hope so. The car has been selling very well with this new release, so I think it will. I think as the price comes down, I think even more people would be interested. And part of my mission, in addition to getting the car and being fuel efficient, was just for there to be one in Arizona driving around for people to see it and say, what is that thing? Does it work? Oh, yeah, it works. There it is passing me on the street. So that was part of my intent, and I have high hopes for it. I think it's the best sort of fuel-efficient idea that we've come up with that crosses all the boundaries that some people were questioning and weren't sure about with these vehicles. And there's still a lot of naysayers out there, as some people may have read on the online posts to my story. A lot of them just don't understand. I think they're resistant to change. I think there were a lot of people criticizing me for, the amount of money I paid for the kind of gas savings I'm going to get. What they don't understand is that on a daily basis, I'm not using any gas at all. People were making calculations, comparing it to a Ford Focus and saying you get more bang for your buck out of Ford Focus, except a Focus uses gas all the time.
Right.
This car doesn't use. I went this whole week without using a drop of gas. So I've had the same gallon of gas in my tank as a reserve all week, and I haven't, used a drop of it. So I think it's hard for people to get their heads wrapped around that. And then when you add to it the solar component of the house, there were some people criticizing me about, burning the evil coal to power my car, and they obviously didn't read the solar part of the house. So I think the biggest boundary, the biggest barrier here is going to be getting people to understand the technology, how it works, making sure they realize that it's functional, that the car is not going to break down, that there's nothing flawed about it. Sure, there might be some kinks, but someone's got to be the first to buy it and see through those. And I think once people get over those fears, they'll realize that there's no reason not to drive a car like this. Yeah. There's just no reason.
Well, we need to get off the oil, the dependency on oil, definitely. I mean,
exactly.
And this is this is kind of a first step. The home could be a second step, and I would like to see that expand as well. The solar powered businesses and homes. I think that would be a great idea.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, it is great to talk to you, Moisés. So hopefully one day we can meet up. I'd like to go for a ride in the car. That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be great. Anytime. You let me know.
Very cool. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And enjoy the breakfast this morning with the family.
I will, and I just want to, a little shout out. My students told me I better give them a shout out if I was on the radio. So I have 22 great trombone students at the U of A School of Music, and they've been very supportive and excited about the story and the car and all that. And so I just want to give a shout out to my great students.
All right, here's the brass.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, very cool. That was great to talk to him. That's Moisés, and telling us the story about him buying a car sight unseen because of the reports. I don't know, Slick. It seems like something that would be kind of fun to do. You're taking a big risk to go buy something you hadn't even driven until you actually went all the way to New York.
Yeah, well, he's being an assistant professor out at the U of A and a fellow trombonist, because I play trombone, too.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah. Trombone, euphonium in B flat, and baritone in G.
Wow. Could you now? If you picked one up today, do you think you could do it?
I could with the trombone. It really wasn't that difficult. So I could probably jump back to it without too much trouble. I was gonna, if I had a chance for him to hear me, I was gonna ask him about position 3, but never mind. Okay.
Now, what is that?
To understand position 3.
Yeah, I have no idea. It sounds like something I read in the Kama Sutra.
That was on page 6. Well, I'll show that to you later. That's it. But no, he's an assistant music professor out at the U of A, and since you've got his number, don't forget to send it over so we can schedule a little joyride. Oh,
that would be a blast, wouldn't it? Seriously.
He'll come and pick us up, and I don't know, we'll take him over to one of your favorite burger joints or something.
There you go. All right, and I'm looking at, if you go to Chevrolet's website, it's Chevrolet.com. We were showing you kind of the page. It's a little hard to find. I noticed, when you get to their page, they're really pushing the Z11 Camaro. But if you go a little deep, look at fuel solutions. When you get there, you'll get the information about electricity and this vehicle. That's why I really hope that the car companies really get behind this.
Can I give you a short way to get there?
Yeah, can you do that?
Yeah, it's Chevrolet.com/Volt.
That's it. Oh, really? I'm on like pages-open-def.
Of course,
great.
Also use Google and Google it. Just saying.
All right, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right,
no, actually, while he was talking, I opened it up and took a look at it myself, and then I started to get curious about the other cars too, because he was talking about. Remember, he said that the Chevy Volt was all electric.
Right.
Now, just because then I started to get curious about the other cars that are similar in that category, and I'm not talking about what's the one out in California, the one I'm big in love with. It's kind of like a sports car, but I can't think of it right now.
That's not the Tesla, is it?
Yes, the Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even bother looking at the Tesla because I'm looking at more. The Tesla is a consumer car, but it's as far as I'm concerned, I think the price tag's a little high.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking along the lines of the Chevy Volt, like you said, the Nissan Leaf,
Yeah.
and then I thought about the Toyota Prius. So I started, while you were talking to him, I was looking at some information on it, and as he said, the Chevy Volt, what it does is it has a little gas engine in there that charges the battery. So technically it's an all-electric car,
Right.
but it has a gas generator in the car to charge the thing. And he said for the entire drive it was $120 worth of gas, he said, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So I did some checking on the Prius because I thought about the Prius, and I remembered the understanding the Prius being having an electric engine and a gas engine, which it does, because I thought, well, maybe the Prius has a gas engine that charges the battery. It's not the same. No, the Volt has a gas engine that charges the battery. The Prius can run on either electric or gas, as it turns out. And I'm going by the information, I have to be honest with you, I'm going by the information off of Wikipedia because I went to the Toyota.com website for Prius, and I could not easily find the technical definition of how the engine works. So based on what I think I'm reading off of Wikipedia, that's how that one works. Now the Leaf, the Nissan Leaf, it's saying on its website, NissanUSA.com, it's saying it's 100% electric, no gas. So there's only one way to charge it, and that's to plug it in. There's only one way to charge it.
Right.
So looking at the three, I think Chevrolet and Nissan and Toyota kind of have like a safety net because that gas engine.
Right.
Now, if you want to go against the Prius because it uses gas, to actually move the vehicle forward, then okay, that's fine. But I'm thinking like he was saying, like if I wanted to drive cross country, you might not be able to do that with the Leaf.
Yeah, with the Leaf, with the Volt, you certainly would be able to because it switches to gas power. So
the gas charges it, right?
Yeah, the gas charges it. And like he said, while he's had some naysayers, it's definitely different in the way that it runs. It still has coal, but like he said, runs on gasoline or oil. But he says it does change the way it runs because he hasn't even used gas this week. It's kind of cool.
Oh, he said this week.
Yeah, it's all week he hasn't even used a drop of gas. Like he's used basically what he has to get by.
Oh, I thought, for some reason I was thinking he said like every other day. But all right, yeah.
No, I think he said every
plus,
week.
where does he? Do you know where he lives? Because he said where his house was.
Savannah, which is over off of Houghton in that area.
Oh, now I remember. Because when he said Savannah, I was thinking of a different spelling in my head. It's like a community out here in Tucson, Arizona, that's on the east side of town, far east.
Right. I'm thinking like Rita Ranch in that area.
Yeah. It's and they focus on sustainable living. I mean, they've got they try to harvest rainwater. They try to use solar energy. I think they even have like gardens where they grow food and stuff like that. I mean, they really try to be ecologically friendly out there.
Right.
I've driven past the place. I've never had a chance to stop and go in there. Have you?
We were actually thinking about buying a home out there before we bought the ones that we're in now. And we weren't looking at it for that reason. We like the design. It's almost it's a real Southwest look to the homes. It has kind of that almost that Adobe kind of feel to the home. It's really a nice property.
Yeah, for those of you who want to look it up, it's Savano. It's Civano. And I think the website, what I'm looking at here, I did a quick search. I think it's SavanoNeighbors.com.
Right.
Like a quick site where you can get more information. But you know what I was thinking with Moises, if we could ever corral him, be buddy, and get to be best friendsies with him. Not only could he give us some joyrides in the car, but maybe he could take us out to his house and have us over for lunch or dinner or swimming in the pool. we could shoot. Maybe we could really get a good look at the car, shoot some pictures, shoot some video, maybe the community and that kind of thing. So I just want to toss it out there just in case Moisés is listening. That's all.
Actually, I'd like to see. I would really like to see. I've never seen a solar home. I'd like to see how it's done. I know my boss was talking about going solar, and the conversion price would have been about $200, $300 grand, but the money he would have saved in the long run would have been pretty spectacular. But that's the whole thing. Is like the same thing goes for Moisés. Is when do you decide to take the jump? When did you say, you know what, I've done a good job. I can afford this vehicle. I'm going to save money, and I really want to do this. When do you decide it's time to take the jump?
Yeah, well, if this is where it's going to be for forever, might as well go and get ahead and commit.
We're in Arizona. I mean, this is like the perfect place to have a solar home. I mean, really, seriously.
No, you're right. I mean, it's crazy that we don't have like solar farms out here. I mean, some big, super duper solar farms out here. They're just panels, and then we sell our electricity to everybody else. It's crazy.
Well, that's what they do in Palm Springs. You drive through Palm Springs, and it's nothing but windmills, and it's
those big fans.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why they're doing it.
Yeah. Out here, I don't discount it, but I've been every so often I look at some websites of some companies in town and in the area that will put the solar panels on your house for hot water as well as charging up batteries and stuff like that. Right. So I mean, if you're going to keep your house for a while, you might as well look into it. You don't have to buy, but you can still look into it.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it would make sense, I would think.
Yeah.
You're going to get money back from the people that are doing it. Yeah, why not?
Oh, I just thought about, you have a homeowners association, an HOA where you live, don't you?
It's a law, though, now in the state of Arizona. A homeowners association cannot officiate over solar. So if you get solar, you can put it on your roof. They cannot say anything about it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So but
it has to be on your roof. It can't be anywhere else but on your roof.
No, you can put it in your backyard. If you drive by Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, I don't know if you've been over that way in a while. They actually have all the solar panels right up against Golf Links Road, which is one of the roads that passes by the base for the homes that are out there. So, yeah, no, they're taking it pretty seriously.
I hadn't seen that. Yeah, I mean, because we got to, especially, look at what's going on, with the whole Egypt thing, and then I think Tunisia. It's almost like a thing of dominoes going on over there.
Oh, yeah, Tunisia, people haven't been really paying that much attention to it, but, that's another hotbed right there. That's something else that's going on.
Yeah, well, the whole Egypt thing, that's kind of, they're going to go down the road and revamp their whole country. But I'm also hearing now, because I leave the news on in the background, and now I'm hearing that there are some other countries in the area who are starting. These are the countries that didn't start before Egypt, but now that Egypt, had gotten rid of Mubarak, their president, now these other countries are stirring. So I don't think it's over. It ain't over there yet.
No, definitely not.
That affects us with like you said, it affects us with our energy policies and stuff. So,
well, let's talk about probably some of the big news this week. There's been a couple of things, and I know I heard you guys talking about it. I actually tuned in for a little bit during Tech Buzz on Thursday, but obviously everybody's talking about HP and the WebOS, and we were talking about that and earlier in the week about how that's going to affect things. And what HP was putting out, and that Palm is now officially gone.
Don't say that.
Still, well, their website is still the site that's holding pictures of the new touchpad. So, it's still at Palm.com.
I'm seeing reports from a lot of people saying that Palm is dead, Palm is dead, Palm is dead. However, I haven't seen an actual official notice from HP saying Palm is dead. Even at the presentation, I tried to find like a quote from an official Palm HP spokesman saying Palm is dead. I couldn't find one.
Right.
So I think it's a little premature. I mean, they could come around in a couple of days and go, yeah, we're killing Palm. But then again, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, what was remember the folder that we were looking at? We thought, man, Palm, you guys should have got into this a long time ago. And this was before really we started to see tablets become huge. And then Palm just let it go.
That Folio?
It was called the Folio, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was remembering. And I thought to myself, man, why are they, why are they bagging this? Because this is really the future. And maybe that was the whole deal, is let HP come in and then decide whether they want to continue it.
I thought it was great, because I'm thinking that what Apple should do, and there's nothing wrong with this, Apple. I think, if somebody else has a good idea, somebody else came up with a wireless phone, all you did was make it better. So I would say take the Mac Air and do the same thing with the iPhone, where you could tie the Mac Air notebook computer with the iPhone, so you can sit your iPhone down on the table and you have a larger keyboard off the Mac Air, and you can work and sync right off the iPhone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Use it as a little interface between the two. I think it's a great idea. So I don't know. That's what I was kind of hoping. I was like, well, maybe that'll be what happened. But what did you take away? Because I'm somewhat disappointed. I'm trying to withhold judgment until maybe HP sends us out an HP touchpad to do a review on Try.
Well, I put the request in, but it doesn't look like it's going to be ready for the summer. Here's the thing I'm afraid of. We saw the big presentation, and I think the reason for the presentation, let's face it, was let's get a jump on what Apple is doing and Verizon with more iPhone stuff, more iPad stuff. Let's get people to start thinking HP. So I think they really rushed it. I mean, they have a product, but I think my feeling is they really rushed it. I think that smartphone, their new smartphone, the new smaller the tiny one, I think that's a joke. I'm sorry.
I do too. I don't like it either.
Seriously, what, you want to give a phone to a 10-year-old? It'll fit in the palm of their hand? Yeah, sure. Maybe that's it. I cannot see an adult looking at that. And, I know sizes and everything, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah.
But you look at that and you say, okay, I'm sorry. I had a problem with the Pre when we had the Pre and going through it and trying to, select what I wanted to do. Was it
the interface you didn't like, or are you just saying
the size? Because I'm thinking about, okay, most people I think are to the point now where they're like, listen, it's like the whole megapixel thing with cameras, digital cameras. We've been telling consumers 6 megapixels, 10 megapixels, 12 megapixels. That doesn't mean squat to the average person who just wants to go out, take some photos, maybe print them on 5x7s, or put up on the web. It means nothing, but we've been all suckered into it. The same thing has been going on now with tablets, and now it's happening. It's been happening with smartphones for a while, and we're trying to sell people on the idea of, it does this and it does that. BlackBerry, suddenly now we're starting to hear apps, the word apps when it comes to BlackBerry. We've been hearing apps forever with the iPhone, which I like. Now Android has come out, and they've got, really remarkable phone. But what does it do? Can it make phone calls? I mean, I'm being kind of silly here, but seriously, we want good call quality. When we use a phone, we want good call quality. The PDAs are gone. They've become a part of the phone.
Say that.
Well, let's face it. Who's putting out a PDA? Is there anybody putting out a PDA?
I bet you if I look, I could probably still find one produced by, I'm trying to think.
Fisher Price. My first PDA.
No. Actually,
my first discontinued product.
I want to say, I think it's the actual, somewhat of a professional division of HP. I got to take another look, but as I remember, they were, I think that's the company that's still producing, a few, not many, maybe 5, right. Seriously. Right. Models of PDAs, but they're still out there.
That's probably true. Probably true.
But here's the thing. That's what I was hoping the HP touchpad was going to replace. If the HP touchpad was going to replace my Palm Takes, my Palm Life Drive, okay, sold. You got me. I get it. I understand.
Right.
But I still think they're, just an iPhone is a PDA.
Right.
And an iPod Touch is still a PDA.
Yeah, you could be right. Yeah. You're probably right.
It's just that I need a dedicated PDA experience. That's what I need. Like, I got to go back to it because it's the best one I've seen so
TX?
far. Huh?
Like TX?
No, well, no. I was going to go with like the Samsung Galaxy Tab.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That to me seemed to have the best PDA-like experience that I've seen so far in a tablet. That's what I'm looking for.
Right. I don't know.
But
I don't know. I would like to say that I'm all over the tablets and I want one, and I would go out and I'd spend the money for one, but I I guess I'm old school. Maybe I'm old thinking. Maybe I'm the kind that would, I don't think I'd have a problem going in an electric vehicle, but, it's, I got my iPod Touch. It works great for me. Do I want to carry something else? Taking up more
Probably
space.
not.
Give me a laptop. Give me a laptop with a lot of processing power and the ability to, get on the web and search and do everything. If I want an app, I'll download something onto my desktop.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about the HP touchpad that has disappointed me. Now, I'm trying to withhold judgment until we get a chance to review one, but as a PDA user or whatever, and maybe I expected more than I should, and I probably do from some of the tablets. Maybe I do. But there was no SD card slot. I also watched a video demonstration of, I guess they use there's the pre, and then what was that little one, the new little one they came out with?
I wish I could remember of it. Tiny Dancer, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they called it the VRE. I think it was the VREE or something like that.
The VRE, yeah.
But, they were showing how you could touch each device to the other one, and it would send information back and forth, and I'm like, but only thing it did send back and forth at this time anyway was web pages. So if you're looking at a website on like the HP touchpad and you want to send that link, I guess, to one of the phones, you just literally touch them and it sends the link over. And even in the demonstration I watched, it took a while for the phone to pick up. Now, to get back to the pre, I didn't mind the pre. But I did prefer the Pixie, the Palm Pixie, because it didn't have that slide-out keyboard. It was actually a dedicated piece of, device. It was one-piece device. And it had the keypad on there. I was looking forward to that. I wish the screen had been a little bit larger, because for me, that's a marriage of a phone and a PDA, and I would have been happy. I'd have been happy boy.
Right.
But, it looks like, I checked the website, it looks like they're dumping the Pixie, so, oh well.
Yeah, my problem with the pre was one of the problems that a couple other people had was that if it bumped on the bottom of it, it shut off. It would basically go into reboot. And I know others that had the pre that told me they had the same issues with the pre. It was very, very delicate.
Wow. I wasn't aware of
Too
that.
much.
I remember you telling me about your problems, but I didn't know it was kind of widespread as it was.
I mean, I have a 755p. That's the phone that I'm using now. And I'm happy with it. But I'm disappointed that it doesn't do more. I would like it to do more when it comes to being able to get messages and just the basic stuff.
Well, like what? Because I love the 755p. I mean, what more do you want yours to do?
I'd like it to integrate a little better with Windows. But I guess that's impossible. I mean, I don't use the Palm Desktop, which I should, but when I did this reinstall, I didn't install it.
Mm. So. Well, I didn't mind having to install the Palm Desktop with the 755p. Until you do, you're going to be kind of left out in the cold. Well, you just super lazy? You just don't want to install it?
Pretty much. Just,
all right.
I've got it all configured. It's like one of those things. And I did
so
want
you
to
sound like
switch
to me
over.
like you should be starting to hit down that Apple fanboy road where, I bought an Apple device and I plugged it to an Apple device and it worked. Or your next phone's going to be like a Windows Mobile 7 where you plug it into a Windows machine and it works.
See, here, I guess I'm being somewhat hypocritical because I'm sitting there complaining about the fact that my phone doesn't do this and that and this and that. Then I'm telling you, I really don't need it. So I guess, in essence, maybe I do. I don't know.
I don't know. You didn't give me a straight answer about plugging it in and something didn't work.
The Palm, the 755p?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of bulky and...
Bulky?
Bulky, yeah. It's kind of bulky.
Okay. I have no idea. It's like going shopping with somebody where you have no idea what you like. I don't even know where it is. No, I don't like that one either.
I'll tell you what I do like about it.
What?
I like the battery life. I can go about 3 days, 2 days, 3 days. If I'm not playing around with the phone, or if I'm just going ahead and just using it for just the phone calls, then that's great.
Oh, no. I'm charging my PDAs about 3 times a day now.
How about the TX?
Same.
Yeah?
Wow. I use them that much.
Man.
I mean, because I keep them with me all the time, and I have alarms going off all the time. I mean, I program television shows and all kinds of stuff in there. Everything. I plan out almost every minute of my day. It's just I'm trying to do too much, and at the same time stay organized. It's just me. I'm trying to stay on top of my life all the time.
Well, what did you think about the the fact that they finally rolled the iPhone out for Verizon. There hasn't really been, I don't think there's been much of a problem, has there?
No, not much of a problem. Nobody's complained. Nobody rushed to it as some thought they may. Because I think even you posted on your Facebook profile, mentioned that, the crowds didn't swarm the doors, as some were saying they thought it might.
Yeah, it was open. When I went through, I saw that the place was open, but there's a handful of people in there, but it didn't seem like they were going crazy for it.
Yeah, here's my biggest question about it, and I have to assume, and I know I could be totally wrong on this, but I have to assume because it's an iPhone, and they want to transfer the experience. I'm sure Apple demanded that the AT&T iPhone experience be equal to, if not better, in regards to iPhone and Verizon. But my question and kind of concern is this: you got, and I had to do some more reading about it because I knew about it, but I didn't know enough for my point here. On AT&T's network, they're on GSM, and if you want to know more information about it, look it up. I won't go into detail, but GSM allows you, their technology that they're using allows you to talk on the phone,
right,
and use the phone's data services at the same time. Now, back early on, this was the only situation where you were able to do it on on GSM, as well as they were heavily promoting it, being Apple promoting the fact that with the Apple iPhone on AT&T, you could talk on the phone and work data at the same time, and you weren't able to do it on other types of services. So here's my question: since, as I remember, since Verizon, based on what I could find, is using CDMA technology,
right?
Can you, with an iPhone on a Verizon service, can you talk on the phone and use your data services at the same time? The default answer,
yes.
I have to assume, it's got to be yes.
Yeah, I believe that's one of their selling points.
Yeah. So, because otherwise, I can't imagine Apple would let Verizon sell the phone. I just can't imagine that happening. But I've been waiting to hear complaints about it, or somebody to say, hey, and it's, it actually does, so if you're worried about it, don't worry about it, because it'll happen. Again, that's my question, because all I have been able to read about CDMA in general was that, well, you can only do one thing at a time.
No, I believe they worked it. I'm pretty sure they worked it so that that you were able to do both. Now, that's a good question, though.
Yeah, whatever they had to do, I agree with you. I'm sure it works out fine. I wanted to see somebody say it, and I haven't seen that yet. So I guess, what I'd have to do is actually go buy an iPhone on Verizon and find out if they fell short, which I'm sure they didn't.
Were they? Is it AT&T that's doing the $49 one now? I think it's AT&T. $49.
But isn't it iPhone 3GS?
It's possible. I think they were just touting it as just the iPhone. Probably just to grab the average Joe that wants to get it. Like why?
Yeah, if you go
why
to
would
their website? Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you why would your mom per se want an iPhone? Would they want an iPhone?
But the interface, because we've all used the iPhone and iPod Touch interface. You can flick and that kind of thing. Sure, why not? That's why they would want one, because the touch interface is a well-designed interface. Right.
Well, let me tell you about a little something I went through this week. Since we're talking about cell phones. My daughters, over the holidays, now I have Sprint, Simply Everything plan, and they've been on my plan. And I pay, I think it's around $160 a month for 4 of us, me, Gloria, Scarlett, and Destiny. Now, Scarlett and Destiny they're rough on their phones, extremely rough on their phones, and their phones broke, the ones on Sprint. Didn't do the insurance on it, first mistake. So they've been without phone, and I still have to pay for their phone service, unless I want to cancel it and pay the cancellation fee, or buy them a new phone or do something like that. So I decided over the holidays, they kept asking me, Dad, we really want a phone, and I was thinking about going maybe Boost or one of those companies, Slick, where you you buy the phone and then you just pay a low monthly fee for the minutes. And at the time, the service plans were not that great, so I decided to go to T-Mobile. Right? I thought, T-Mobile will be good. We'll just get them an account for just the 2 of them. We'll do 750 shared minutes, unlimited data, because that's all they basically do is data and texting, that kind of thing.
Right.
So we went in there and we got a deal. I think it was it's going to be like $75 or $80 a month, and then there would be a little extra. So it was going to run about $130 a month. So
let me ask you real quick here. Do you remember what the breakout was for the voice plan plus the unlimited data?
No, I wish I did. But
okay.
I'm going to need to go through this paperwork for the reasons I will tell you coming up. But I remember it was 750 minutes shared, which I know that was, and everything included. I think it was going to be a total of about 130. And even though I was like, oh God, that's just more money. I figured they can help me once Scarlett gets a job, that kind of thing. Got him a couple of new, nice Ovation phones, the LG Ovation, which I've been using from Sprint as well to test out, and I sent that back. So I thought, well, this would be good. So the first bill came in, and it's $154. The activation fee, which I was told was going to be waived, that I am now being charged $70 for. Okay, fine. You know what? Whatever. I'll call him and say, hey, this is what was told to me. And then the monthly charge of $60 because it was prorated,
right,
etc.
Okay.
So the phones were shut off. I was like 1 day late, and the phones got shut off. So I thought, well, that's kind of weird. So I called up, and it said, no, your phones weren't shut off because, you were a day late. Your phones were shut off because of excessive charges. And I said, well, excessive charges? What are you talking about? Right? He said, yeah, we had excessive charges on here. I don't know if you could read my scratch. Look at that. $1,223 in excessive charges. Okay. And I asked,
wow, you sound like something I've heard on the news.
So I asked my girls, I said, what's the deal? And they said, they haven't been making phone calls. Scarlett said she has a friend that lives in Michigan that she's been talking to at night. That means that's after, it's free night and weekends, right?
Right.
So we're like, so what happened? So I called T-Mobile. They tell me they can't tell me what the charges are for 5 days, but they'll turn the phones on once I pay the $150, even though that's not why it was turned off. So I said, you know what? Don't bother at this point. I said, let's leave them off because I want to find out. But I had to wait 5 days, which will be Monday, is when I can find out what the charges are. I mean, you can't tell me what the $1,200 in charges are now. I have to wait till Monday.
Did they have an accent?
No, they didn't. In all fairness, but they were reading from a script, and it was one of those call centers that they make them talk. So, like, if there's dead air on it, they're supposed to always be talking. And so she's waiting for this to come up on her screen. It was really uncomfortable. I could tell because she was just speaking. She was assuming, well, I could be this and it could be that. Finally, I just said, do me a favor. Don't assume anything. Let's just wait till you can pull this information up. Then she said, I can't pull it up for another 5 days. So I said, okay. So I said, leave the phones off. And you sent me something over the weekend. So I don't know what my penalties are going to be. Because there's no way I'm going to stay with T-Mobile. Not when I get a bill like that. Unless it's their error. She goes, if it's our error, we'll certainly rectify it. I'm like, I certainly hope so. But
have you started preparing a letter of complaint with all the details in it?
Well, that's why I want to wait until I get this last bill. This next bill, that's going to be $1,223. Which is going to be minus this amount because it crossed over. But you take that $154 off, it's still $1,000. So, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
$1,200. How
is that crazy? Crazy or what? So I'm going to do that. But you told me about something this week, Slick, that I said, what? It's is it Boost Mobile that's doing it, and it's $25 a month?
Well, Boost Mobile, I don't remember exactly what their plans are. I know I off the top of my head, because I was a Boost Mobile customer and was a happy one too.
Yeah,
I know they've got like a $50 a month plan, pretty much unlimited. You'd have to look it up, but I think the information I sent you was in regards to Virgin Mobile.
Virgin Mobile, okay.
All right. Yeah, where I think at their lowest voice plan, so you have to get the lowest voice plan, which let's say is $30 a month. Again, double check. And I think if you add on to it a $25 unlimited data messaging plan, that's for the month. So it's the lowest voice plan, let's say 30, plus $25 for the unlimited data. That's $55 a month. If you if you can just stay data most of the time, you're good. I'm trying to remember how many minutes you get. I think it's something like super low, like 350 minutes.
Yeah, this says LG Optimus V,
right.
Android, $150. So you pay $150 for the phone.
Right.
And then let's see, it's a monthly plan, no annual contract.
Right.
Virgin Mobile Beyond Talk plans start at just $25 a month, and you get 300 minutes of voice and include unlimited messaging, IM, email, social networking, and web access.
Right. You said you had the girls on, who was it again? It was T-Mobile.
T-Mobile, yeah.
Are you in a contract with T-Mobile?
Oh, yeah. So, see, that's the thing. I'm going to have to pay some kind of huge penalty. I'm going to have to pay for the phones now because I said, well, can I just bring the phones back? And she said no. And I'll tell you what, I love the LG phones. The LG Android, the Optimus, is a great phone. But we're not going to be able to use it. That's a downside to it.
Oh, man.
Unless I can get them on Virgin Mobile. If Virgin Mobile Beyond Talk uses the little memory cards, see, Sprint phones generally do not use the little, whatever they call the SIM cards.
Yeah.
T-Mobile uses SIM cards. So we've got SIM cards. So we could, if we go to another service that uses SIM cards, then we'd be okay.
Yeah, that's something else I read, too, when I was doing my little trying to catch up on GSM versus CDMA. It appears, unless things have changed again, that you can tell if a phone is on GSM or not because of the SIM card. You can take the SIM card out and move it from phone to phone,
right?
As it turns out. But you can't do that with CDMA, if I remember correctly.
Right. Huh. So, I don't know.
I had my initial bad experience with phones. Don't want to say 80s. Was it 80s? No, it was 90s. It was mid-90s. I think, what's the one? They're on TV now, and they're trying to it's not Net Talk. They have the green logo. Where at the time I bought it, I got a phone out of Kmart, and I bought the phone, and I bought what I thought was the card said on it, little credit card thing that you buy for minutes. It said on it, a year's worth of service plus like $150, 150 minutes, 300 minutes, whatever it was. So I'm thinking I buy the phone, I buy the card, and I got a year's worth of service. And I paid like $150 for the card. Okay.
Right.
So I use it, and the phone gets shut off. Oh, maybe it's a few days, maybe a few weeks, whatever it was. So I called them and talked to them and found out what the deal was. And they go, no. I wish I could remember the name of this company. They said, no, what you did was you purchased a year's worth of access to our network. In addition to that.
What? Really?
You have to buy minutes.
Oh,
and I've
boy.
stayed away from this company ever since, because I wonder if they're still doing it. But they're still touting themselves as, you get them at Walmart and Kmart. They're touting themselves as one of the cheapest cell phone companies with the lowest plans and all that, way down low. But, man, they fixed me for the rest of my life. I'll never try that service again, ever.
Wow. That's amazing how many will come out and then just disappear. Just nuts. Anyway, so that's where we're standing on that one right now. Oh, boy. It's crazy. All right, a couple of things we certainly want to mention about stuff that happened this week. We talked about a little bit about that. But here's something I didn't know if you knew about Slick, and I thought this was interesting from the fact that Slick are actually both broadcasters in radio. I don't know if you heard about the news this week from Clear Channel, that they're doing something that I'm suspecting could be pretty huge. And it seems to me like what Clear Channel is doing is aligning their properties to become more like satellite radio, more specialty, more niche. Like you tune into something, here's what you get. Now you already know, like especially if you have an iPhone or you have a Droid, you can go to iHeartRadio and you could be driving down the street listening to your favorite radio station from Los Angeles or New York or Cincinnati or Detroit for those stations that broadcast out of those markets and go on to iHeart that are part of the Clear Channel family. But now what they're doing is total traffic network delivered based on your market through an app.
Yeah, I did kind of see a little bit about that. I think I read the headline and just kept going. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, what it is, drivers with this will be able to maintain a hands-free environment, and the audio reports will be broadcast through the phone automatically, so you don't have to interact, you don't have to put up, or anything. The whole bit. It'll talk about delays, accidents, constructions. So think about this. When you're near an airport, you usually can tune in your AM radio to, a certain frequency. Imagine that aspect, but delivered via your phone in an application that's on your phone. The application is being developed by what's called the Global Alert Network. And you can go to TotalTraffic.com for more information about it. I think it's a great idea. And it's going to be available not only in the 125 metropolitan markets in 4 countries, including the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and New Zealand, but you can get this delivered, again, right to your hands-free device.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I'm
because it's Clear Channel?
Huh?
Because it's Clear Channel?
No. I'm just mourning the death of like locally where they were focusing on, content for their particular markets that they were broadcasting over-the-air radio for. But, I get it. They're trying to expand their business. They're trying to, diversify and all that. So I get it. I understand. It's fine.
What's going to be the difference between this and maybe a product like... let's see. I'm thinking like this, and maybe a product of some guy sitting in a building that's in Phoenix broadcasting traffic for Tucson. It's really the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's actually what's going on. I mean, they've consolidated a lot of their traffic offices and bureaus to where you'll have an office like, let's use Phoenix for example. Here in Arizona, the Phoenix office actually does traffic for Tucson.
Right.
Yeah, and wherever else their stations are in Arizona, and a similar situation in California. They like Los Angeles would go out, however far it wouldn't go all the way up to San Francisco, but maybe Los Angeles would probably do the traffic, if I had to guess, for San Diego as well, because they're within a reasonable geographic area as far as the management is concerned. Now, the Clear Channel news I caught this week, I'm not anti-Clear Channel. I just don't like some of the things they do. That's all.
Yeah. Now, did you catch anything about President Obama's
their final ticket?
Yeah, what's that?
I'm just looking forward to Mark Mays bailing, because I heard I think it's Mark Mays, one of their last heads from the old guard, getting out, and I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, is that a phone in here, or is that you?
No, that's the phone. It's over there.
Wasn't sure. All right, so I was asking you the question before that about President Obama's announcement this week, as far as the wireless spectrum, and that he believes, and this could tie into radio as well, that more of that spectrum should be made available for wireless, broadband wireless throughout big cities and small cities.
Yeah, I caught it, but I kind of, as I usually do with announcements like that, I wait for the details, because, like even with the State of the Union, they were talking about some stuff like, yeah, that's great, show me the details now. Exactly what are we talking about here? They were talking about, same with net neutrality, exactly what do you mean with net neutrality?
Right. Well, he's talking
expanding the infrastructure. I want to see some numbers. I want to see the specifics.
Well, he's talking about it from the standpoint of it actually being competitive. So he's talking about it. Yeah, he'd like to see it expand for companies to use what's available, but he wants it to be competitive to the point, though, that it will be affordable to consumers.
Yeah. You know what? Now that I think about it, now that you mention it, that's the next step beyond. First we had basic plain old POTS, plain old telephone service, landline for people.
Right.
Was considered to be a necessity, needed utility for most people in society, and now the conversation has moved to the internet. Basic internet access. Let's say DSL for the sake of argument, 1.5 DSL as being a utility, just like we used to think of the old voice over landline services being a necessity. Now it sounds like this is going to be the next conversation we're going to have once we have, or if we ever have, basic standard 1.5 DSL affordable to every home in the United States of America. That would be the next conversation, I guess. That's, what is this, 2011? Mm-hmm. That'd be a conversation for 2015?
Yeah.
As an expectation.
Yeah.
As a reasonable expectation. Wireless, affordable, data/internet access for all Americans.
That's the big word, affordable.
Yeah.
What is affordable? What is affordable? If somebody who's out of work, $20 a month is too expensive.
It all depends. I mean, because I've been in situations before, and I'm not against it now, where using like prepaid wireless cell phone service and cards at $20 a month. I mean, that's all I could really afford to spend. That's all I would pay. Now there seem to be some plans trying to make it even more affordable for, let's say, lower income or poor people, to where you could even roll it over. So let's say if I put $20 on my account this month and I don't use it, or let's say I only use like $10 worth of it, I could roll that $10 over to next month's 20. That gives me 30, and you could build up. So that would help. Those types of plans and services would help people who don't make much money at all. I'm just amazed at people who get into the plans and services which I'm probably guilty of too. But I mean, they really couldn't afford it in the first place, but they had to have it. Had to have it. It's like that car that they had to have. Had to have the car. Can't afford it. Had to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Going down the next line, the house and the clothes and the diamonds and the stereo and the big screen TV, and, all that stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's the thing. What is it that we need? All right, let's talk about this. TechSmith. Have you heard of TechSmith? The makers.
TechSmith?
Yeah, TechSmith. The makers of a product called Camtasia.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, they are now making it available at the Apple Mac Store as an app at the App Store. It's called Camtasia 1.2 for the Mac, and it can be downloaded from the Mac Store. Now, and again, we're a non-Mac show. We don't have a Mac that we use. I know, Slick, you don't have a Mac. I don't have a Mac. I just know that a lot of people have always liked Camtasia. They've talked about it, and they're looking at this as a way to reach a greater amount of Mac users, especially that this software has been available for the PC users for quite some time. And what it is, it's screen recording software.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So you can use it to do presentations, to record instruction, keynote slides, system audio as well, and then you can even present it to an audience or even record it while you're doing a presentation to an audience. So it actually makes it kind of cool.
Oh, that's right. You've installed it on Windows before, right?
I have installed the Windows version. It's been a while since we used it because we haven't really had an application for it. And Telestream actually makes a product that I want to look at that does pretty much the same thing. But it's always been, TechSmith has always been well received, and it's always been one of those products that people have said, I hope you guys put out a new version of this. It'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, see if we can get them to send out a copy of it and a Mac that we can try it on.
That's even nice too. Our local, if you see our local KOLD affiliate or CBS affiliate is actually doing a Mac a day giveaway, or an Apple a day as they're calling it.
Yeah, I think they're giving away the iPad.
Yeah, they're giving away iPads, Shuffles, Nanos, and then iPod Touches as well.
I was going to enter that contest. The problem is don't get around that time. I don't get to sit in front of the television, so it'd be just my name. Just with my luck, they call my name, and I'm not in front of the television. So
I don't know. I think it'd be fun to do. Be good.
Yeah, I usually turn it on and then keep coming back and forth to the TV.
Well, I think that's the whole point, is to get you to keep coming back and forth to the television.
Yeah, but if they call my name and then I don't win, and I don't know if they're going to call it again, I need to read the rules. I guess probably should do that now.
All right, we're at about 8 minutes after our hour, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. I want to check something we have going on with our stream, so we'll get that taken care of. We'll reconnect in about 5 minutes. Is that cool, Slick?
Yep.
All right, and we'll be back with more of Tech Talk Radio.